Hello again, YouTube. I wanted to do a update on the state of the Barnes number 5. As you can see, I've done a little bit of work to it. I have added the electrical shut off with the push button so that I can stop myself from being wound up around it. And I've also added some guarding. So here, I'll try and give you a quick rundown. So this is the guard. Really simple. Essentially what I did is I took a piece of shelving, cut it, bent it up into this general shape, and a piece of hinge which is actually off of a tractor that I scrapped out, and it conveniently had these holes in the back which are already threaded, so I just used those. And oh yeah, and probably the most interesting part, up here on the bottom, those are just table feet, and they actually sit down on the front of this. And the reason for that is, since this motor hangs off the back of it and uses the weight of the motor, it kind of has a tendency to kind of move around a little bit, so I needed a way for this to not be so rigid. So it sits there like that, and it actually kind of has a nice little side benefit. So it's not heavy enough to throw off the weight tension, the tension on the belt, but it is light enough that you can actually reach back here, pull it forward, and because of those feet, it grabs onto the front of it, and then that disengages your chuck, so you can easily spin it around and get to all your your different guys on there, and it makes chucking things up a lot easier. And then whenever you're ready to go, if you don't hit the button, or if you hit the button and you leave this down, it's no big deal. It just spins the back side of it. It doesn't actually spin the rest of it up until you give her a little pull. She engages. There you go. The electrical side of this was actually a little bit more difficult than what I thought it was going to be. So this is still hot, by the way. This is the motor is meant to be wired to run in only one direction, so I had to run some extra wiring. I can put a wiring diagram in the video, but essentially all it is you got a drum switch here and main kill button here, and it actually has to go out. It supplies power out to the motor, and then it comes back, feeds to the drum switch so that it can choose which direction it wants to go, and then that actually controls the starter. So yeah, it's a little bit goofy, but it's safer than what it was when I first got it. All it was just a light switch on the front of this, and it was pretty crappy. Oh yeah, and this box actually came off of Amazon. I think I paid $10 for it. Hell of a lot better than going to Home Depot or wherever and getting a crappy plastic box and paying like $20 for it. So if you're looking for that, pretty much everything there came off of Amazon. Anyways, to the actual interesting part. We'll turn it on. So you got start, stop, and then you got your direction selection. So it's kind of like safeties built into it a little bit. So that actually enables this switch and then you can choose which direction. So that would be your standard coming this way, so that you would cut. And then the other nice thing is that if you switch this backwards while it's still going, well, it's just going to energize the motor and just keep going in the same direction. So there's kind of a safety there. But that goes the other direction. Not going to use that backwards function very often, but it's always nice to have. So let me kind of change my setup here with my camera, and then I will try and show you some chips. Alright, so I am not by any means a machinist. I'm still learning. With this machine, it seems to be mainly by sound. Just by the chatter on the bits and everything is kind of what I'm figuring out. But anyways, so I got this guy in here. You can tell I've been just fiddling around with it. This thing does have play in the spindle bearings, but it only comes out to be I think it's 5 thou. It's not very much. Anyways, get to the actual fun stuff. Now with this, I'm doing this all by hand. With these guys, if you overfeed, you actually run a risk of shattering the change wheels, which I really don't feel like trying to check down another set of change wheels on this thing. So I just got to get good with my hand. Really, it's not that bad. The hardest part is actually it's when you're dealing with pieces that aren't perfectly round, so you get a lot of, a lot of load, not much, a lot of load, not much. So because I'm hand feeding it, it jumps around some, and I can't really do much about that because of the backlash in the gears in this, I'm guessing it's the carriage wheels. And I've also already had some incidents, shall we call them? So I'm a little bit scared of this machine, but not to the point where I'm not going to use it. Just right on that fringe of respect, I guess. And actually, I can give you a good example of my experiences. So, I was doing something similar to this, and I decided that I would try and part off the piece. Well, you can probably guess how that went. I had the same feed speed, and I didn't leave myself enough room as I was going in. I wasn't going in and then moving kind of back and forth to give myself room. Well, it went in a little bit too deep, and it was going too fast, and the tool shattered, exploded more like, and blew up in my face and went all over the place. So that kind of spooked me a little bit. But you'll live and learn. Another incident that I had was I had a piece of aluminum in this, and once again I didn't have the feed speed right, as I was once again trying to part off a small section of it. Well, it actually drug in, because this amount of backlash, so it drug in too fast, dug into the piece, and actually, thankfully it was aluminum, it actually ripped the piece out of the chuck and shot it across the room. So it's not like I am just going gung-ho at it. I am probably just inexperienced with the feed speed of things, and that seems to be what's tripping me up. Also with just learning the sounds of everything. But anyways, let's do some more. To give you an idea on how still kind of rough. So thank you guys for watching, and feel free to like or comment or any of that stuff. I'd really like to have any comments if you have any suggestions on just how to run this thing. I do a lot of I watch a lot of double boost video, but he's got a hell of a lot more skookum set up than I do, so I kind of have to work with what I have. One thing that I would like to figure out how to make, or how to do, or buy, or whatever, is a live center for this guy. This is actually just a straight shaft threaded down the center, and I haven't taken this off to see what taper this is. I've read that this is supposed to be, I think it's pronounced a Jarno taper. I'm kind of hoping it's a Morse taper, because then I can just take that out and then swap that into a live center, and then I can have fun with doing this stuff. But I'm kind of taking it a step at a time. So anyways, once again, thank you for watching.